Stormproof lighters promise reliability in wind and rain, but, veterans of World War II learned early on that any device with moving parts, fuel valves or pressurized systems could and did fail under combat conditions. Mud-clogged mechanisms. Fuel evaporated or leaked. Springs snapped in freezing weather. In response, soldiers relied on a fire trick that was slower, quieter, and honestly vastly more dependable. It did not depend on pressure, flame height, or brand-name engineering. Instead, it relied on sparks, prepared tinder, and discipline. In real field conditions, this method consistently outperformed even the best lighters of the era, and, its effectiveness has not diminished with time. This was the World War II spark and char system, and it remains one of the most reliable fire-making methods ever used in war. How battlefield reality exposed the limits of lighters. Lighters were, fairly common by World War II standards. Zippos and trench lighters existed, but they were not universal, and, they were not foolproof. Wind could strip the flame instantly. Cold would thicken the fuel. Rain rendered them unreliable at, honestly, the worst possible moments. A lighter that failed once, it simply could not be trusted again. Soldiers needed fire for boiling water, sterilizing tools, warming their hands, and igniting other heat sources. Failure wasn't just inconvenient. It was, in fact, dangerous. As a result, experienced troops treated lighters as, optional tools, not primary solutions. Now, why did sparks matter more than flame in combat environments? A spark simply cannot be blown out. It exists for just a fraction of a second, yet, interestingly, it reaches temperatures far higher than an open flame. When you pair a spark with the right tinder, it creates fire quietly and with remarkable precision. World War II soldiers understood this, Sparks could be generated with minimal movement, minimal exposure, and barely any light signature at all. Flame was the end result, not the starting point. This distinction, really, defined the method. So, let's talk about how the spark and char system actually worked out there in the field. Right at the heart of this system was charred material, usually things like cotton cordage, scraps of cloth, or even bandage fibers. These would be converted into char by heating them in low oxygen, just enough to make them catch a spark, but not burn up completely. Soldiers made this charred material by using ration tins or any sealed containers they could find, placing them near fires whenever the situation allowed. Once the material was properly charred, it would catch a spark instantly and smoulder really reliably, which was honestly a bit of a lifesaver out there. Now, to actually produce the sparks, they used flint and steel, or sometimes flint wheels, scavenged from broken lighters. Funny enough, even damaged lighters would still give off sparks, which in a way made them more valuable broken than when they were intact. The char was kept dry in small tins match safes, or wrapped in oiled cloth. When fire was needed, a single spark was struck into the char, producing a glowing ember that could be transferred to tinder and blown into flame. This system worked in rain, wind and cold because it separated ignition from flame. Why this method outperformed stormproof lighters in bad weather. Stormproof lighters rely on sustained combustion. They fight the environment. The spark and char system ignores it. Wind cannot extinguish an ember sheltered in the hand. Rain cannot stop a spark from forming. Cold does not prevent oxidation at spark temperatures. Even when hands were numb, a single controlled strike was easier than repeated lighter attempts. Soldiers could generate fire while prone, under cover, or inside shelters without revealing position. Reliability, mattered more than speed, and this method delivered it. How soldiers applied this system step by step under pressure. Preparation, well, that came first. Char was made ahead of time and honestly protected obsessively. Tinder bundles were pre-assembled from dry fibres and kept close to the body. When fire was required, the soldier struck sparks directly onto the char until it caught. The glowing ember was then folded into the tinder bundle and gently oxygenated. Flame appeared only when needed and could be shielded instantly. No fuel valves, no pressurization, no dependence on luck. So, modern users can apply the same principle today. Honestly, this method still remains superior, especially in adverse conditions. These days, modern users can create char from cotton cloth just by using a small metal container. Flint and steel sets are, widely available now, and even ferro rods basically follow the same principle. So, the critical lesson here is separation of stages. Spark creation, ember management and flame generation are, really distinct steps. When treated this way, fire becomes predictable rather than just hopeful. This method should be practiced deliberately. Over time, skill replaces dependence on gadgets. So, why did this knowledge fade away after the war? Well, post-war convenience, really shifted the emphasis towards speed and ease, rather than good old reliability. Disposable lighters, they just became cheap and honestly, absolutely everywhere. Fire, it turned into something recreational, not really essential anymore. As a result, spark-based systems started being labelled as primitive instead of dependable. The context that once made them superior just vanished, and with it the knowledge disappeared too. What World War II fire discipline teaches about survival thinking is, really invaluable. The spark and char system, it truly reflects those wartime priorities. Redundancy over convenience, control over spectacle, and, preparation over improvisation. Understanding this method is not about rejecting modern tools. It's actually about knowing what still works when those modern tools fail, which is honestly a crucial distinction. If you value serious historical insight and practical survival knowledge rooted in real wartime experience, support the mission of this channel. Subscribe to Echoes of Valor, share this guide with fellow history and preparedness enthusiasts, and help ensure these proven skills are preserved for those who may one day depend on them.